The bathroom door creaked open just slightly, and the Mafia boss leaned against the wall, a sly grin playing on his lips. His name was Juncio, 32. Rich, handsome, feared, and utterly untouchable in soul. Women never said no to him. In fact, most would beg for him, cry for him, fight for him. But what he saw that night wasn't like the others. Inside the steamy bathroom, Amara, the new maid he had hired just a week ago, was humming softly in her deep, husky African voice as she rinsed the soap from her glowing dark skin. The sound was almost hypnotic. Her curves glistened under the water, her braids tied up lazily, steam curling around her like a crown. Juncio's grin widened. Another toy, he thought. She doesn't even know how lucky she is. By tomorrow, she'll be begging for me, just like the rest. He leaned closer, eyes devouring her. But in a flash, Amara turned. She had sensed him. With no fear, no hesitation, she yanked a towel from the rack, wrapped it firmly around her chest, and stormed to the door. Before the Mafia boss could even blink, her fist connected with his jaw. Bang! Are you mad? She thundered in accented Korean, her voice spiced with African fire. Eh, you think because you have money and tattoos, you can peep on me like goat in the market? Juncio staggered back, clutching his face. No one had ever hit him before. Not his rivals, not his guards, not even the women he had broken. Amara didn't stop there. She jabbed her finger at him like an angry mother scolding a stubborn child. Shameless man. Nonsense man. You peep at me, and? Do I look cheap to you? Let me tell you something. I am not your toy. I am not your side dish. I am Amara, daughter of Africa. Next time, I will break these your yellow teeth one by one. Juncio's guards, who had been lingering in the hallway, froze. Never in their lives had they seen anyone talk to their boss like that. For the first time, the Mafia king of Seoul apologized. I'm sorry, he muttered, voice shaking with confusion. Amara hissed, clapping her hands like she was chasing away evil spirits. Sorry will not bath me. Next time, try me again. I will show you pepper. She stomped back into the bathroom, slammed the door, and turned the shower back on. Juncio stood there, stunned, his cheek throbbing from the punch. His guards exchanged worried glances. The king had just been humbled. Flashback. The untouchable boss. Until that moment, Juncio had been a god in his own world. Born into power, raised in violence, he was the spoiled Mafia prince of Seoul who never heard the word no. His penthouse was filled with drugs, gold chains, imported whiskey, and the perfume of countless women. Women were his toys. He hired them, slept with them, paid them off, and discarded them like yesterday's trash. Some even carried his children, but he forced abortions, silenced their cries, and buried their stories in money and threats. They still came back to him. They always came back. He was the man every woman wanted, and every man feared. Handsome, with tattoos crawling over his muscular chest, expensive suits draped on his shoulders, and that dangerous smirk that made people tremble. No one dared defy Juncio, until Amara. Amara had come from Nairobi, chasing a better life. Her family needed money, and when she saw the job posting, high pay, full accommodation, private mansion, household staff needed, she didn't think twice. When she arrived, she was mesmerized by the mansion. Tall glass walls, fountains spilling into marble pools, chandeliers worth more than her village. The pay was more than enough to feed her siblings back home. But she knew nothing of her boss's dark history. To her, Juncio was just another rich man with too much swagger and not enough humility. She noticed how the other maids blushed when he walked past, how they straightened their skirts, how their voices trembled. But Amara? She had scrubbed floors in Nairobi streets. She had chased goats from the kitchen and carried water buckets on her head. No man with a fancy jawline and tattoos could scare her. When she caught him peeping, instinct took over. She didn't care if he was her employer. She didn't care if he was a mafia king. Respect was respect, and he had crossed the line. Juncio sat in his bedroom that night, holding a bag of ice to his cheek. His pride was shattered. He replayed the moment again and again. The towel, the punch, the insults, the banter. the fire in her eyes. For the first time in his life, he felt small. He felt human. He felt afraid. His guards whispered among themselves, "Boss, are you okay? She really hit you? Should we deal with her?" But Junseo shook his head. "No, leave her." The truth was, he couldn't even look Amara in the eye. The house felt hotter, heavier, every time she walked past. She was a storm he couldn't control. And deep down, Junseo knew this wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. Junseo had never been this restless in his life. Nights that were once filled with champagne, drugs, and the soft moans of women now felt like deserts. Every time he closed his eyes, all he could see was that moment. Amara's towel snapping into place, her fist smashing into his jaw, and her voice, sharp like pepper, scolding him in words he barely understood. It was maddening. Him, the untouchable Mafia king of Seoul, haunted by a maid? Ridiculous, he muttered, pacing across his penthouse, his tattoos shifting as his muscles tightened with frustration. She'll come around. They always do. He pulled a wad of cash from his drawer, thick stacks wrapped in golden bands. Money was his weapon, sharper than any knife. He had silenced mistresses, bought doctors, bribed police. No one could resist the weight of his money, so he decided to test her. The next morning, Amara was polishing the glass table in the living room when Junseo appeared. He was shirtless, his tattoos crawling across his chest, his expensive sweatpants hanging low on his hips. Normally, women melted at the sight. He tossed a bundle of cash onto the table. "Take it," he said casually, running a hand through his messy black hair. "Consider it appreciation for your hard work." Amara glanced at the money, then back at him. She didn't even blink. "Aha, see this man?" she said, shaking her head. "Do I look like I'm hungry for your dirty money? Carry your bribe and go." She picked up the cash, slapped it against his chest, and went back to wiping the table. Junseo froze. No woman had ever rejected his money. Ever. "Dirty money?" he whispered to himself, stunned. Amara didn't even look up. "Yes, money that comes from your nonsense life. Keep it. I didn't come here to be your toy. I came here to work. You can't buy me." For the first time, Junseo felt something he had never felt with a woman. Shame. That night, he tried again. He dressed in his finest. A black silk shirt unbuttoned to reveal his tattoos, diamond chain glistening, and a smirk he knew could melt hearts. He cornered Amara in the kitchen while she was stirring a pot of soup. "You know," he drawled, leaning close, "most women would kill to be in your position, to be this close to me, to taste me." Amara turned, spoon still in her hand. She looked him up and down, from his perfect jawline to his flashy shoes. Then she laughed. "Ha! Taste you? My brother, I don't even eat stale meat. And you, with all these drugs in your blood, you're already smelling like expired fish. Please, shift before your sweat falls inside my soup." The guards outside nearly choked, trying not to laugh. Junseo's jaw dropped. Nobody, absolutely nobody, had ever dismissed his charm like that. His smirk faltered, and he stormed out of the kitchen, fists clenched. By the next morning, Junseo had lost his patience. He sat in the grand living room, legs spread wide, a cigar burning between his fingers, his guards lined up behind him. When Amara entered to vacuum the floor, he didn't smile this time. His voice was cold. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, his Korean sharp and clipped. Amara looked at him, unimpressed. "Yes, you're the man I punched in the face." The guards stifled their laughter, pretending to cough. Junseo's veins bulged. "I am the Mafia boss of Seoul. Men tremble when I speak. I could destroy your life with a single word." Amara dropped the vacuum, placed her hands on her hips, and stepped closer. Her eyes blazed with fire. "Destroy my life? Oga, my life is not yours to destroy. I have scrubbed streets. I have sold vegetables in the sun. I have carried water until my neck wanted to break. You were born with silver spoon and cocaine in your nose. You don't scare me. If you want to kill me, kill me. At least I'll die with my dignity." The silence was heavy. Even the guards were stunned. No one, Not even his enemies had spoken to Junseo like that. For the first time, Junseo felt something strange in his chest. It wasn't anger. It wasn't lust. It was respect. That night, he didn't touch drugs. He didn't call women. He didn't even sleep. He just sat in his room, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words. My life is not yours to destroy. It echoed in his skull like a curse. The house that once felt like his kingdom now felt like a cage. Every time Amara walked by, humming, laughing to herself, scolding the guards like naughty children, he felt his heart pound. Was he scared of her? Or was he falling for her? He hated the thought. He was Junseo, king of Seoul, destroyer of women, untouchable mafia boss. He couldn't be scared of a maid. But deep down, he knew the truth. Amara had shaken his empire. Not with guns, not with knives, but with a single punch and her fearless tongue. And from that moment on, the untouchable king was no longer untouchable. Junseo had built his empire on fear. Fear was his crown, his shield, his weapon. Men bowed when he walked in. Women trembled when he touched them. His name alone was enough to silence a room. But fear was useless against Amara. Every day she moved through the mansion with the confidence of a queen, her slippers slapping against the marble floors, her braids swaying as she hummed African tunes. She wasn't scared of his tattoos, his scars, or his empire. She wasn't impressed by his diamonds, his cars, or his imported whiskey. And the more she ignored him, the more he burned. Started small. Junseo found himself sitting on the couch, pretending to read a newspaper while secretly watching Amara dust the shelves. She wore simple clothes, a plain t-shirt and a wrap skirt she had sewn herself. But somehow, she looked more powerful than the models he had paid millions to sleep with. She would pause, stretch her back, and mutter something under her breath in her mother tongue. He didn't understand the words, but the fire in her tone made his chest tighten. Why am I watching her? He growled at himself one night, pacing his room. She's just a maid. Just a maid. But no matter how many drugs he swallowed, how many bottles he emptied, the image of her dark, glowing skin and sharp eyes haunted him. His empire was cracking, and it wasn't from his enemies. Even his guards noticed. Boss doesn't call women anymore. Yeah, he used to bring 3 in one night. Now, nothing. Did you see how he followed the maid to the kitchen like a puppy? They laughed, but always carefully, afraid he might hear. What they didn't know was that Junseo had heard. He heard everything. Their whispers pierced him like knives. Him, the feared mafia king of Seoul, reduced to a lovesick fool? It was humiliating. To drown the shame, Junseo sank deeper into his addictions. Lines of cocaine scattered across his glass table. Pills clattered from bottles into his trembling hands. Whiskey spilled onto his expensive rug as he drank straight from the bottle. But the drugs no longer gave him peace. Instead, they twisted his mind, making Amara's face appear in every shadow. Sometimes he saw her standing at the end of his bed, towel tied, fist raised, ready to punch him again. Other times, he heard her voice scolding him, "Shameless man, you can't buy me." He would scream, throw bottles, smash mirrors. But the visions never left. His empire was no longer his. It was hers. Amara, of course, noticed his strange behavior. One afternoon, she walked into the living room to find him slumped on the couch, shirt half open, pupils dilated, a cigarette burning between his fingers. Empty pill bottles rolled across the floor. She sighed, hands on her hips. Ah, see your life. Fine boy like you, wasting away like yam forgotten in the sun. For what? Drugs? Women? Money you cannot even carry to the grave. Junseo blinked at her, stunned. No one had ever dared speak to him like that when he was high. Usually people trembled, begged, or fled. You don't understand, he muttered, voice cracked. Amara snorted. Understand what? That you're a spoilt child crying because somebody finally told you no? Please, drink water and grow up. She grabbed the cigarette from his fingers, crushed it in an ashtray, and began tidying the bottles like he was just another lazy boy in her village. Junseo watched her, speechless. Part of him wanted to snap, to shout, to remind her he was her boss. But another part of him felt peace. For the first time in years, someone treated him like a human, not a king. Late that night, unable to bear the silence, Junseo found himself knocking on her door. Amara opened it halfway, wearing a simple nightdress, her braids wrapped in a scarf. She frowned. What do you want at this hour? You think I'm one of those your midnight snacks? He swallowed hard. No. I just needed to talk. Amara raised an eyebrow. Talk? You? Mafia boss? Since when do you talk? I can't sleep, he admitted. His voice cracked with something he didn't recognize. Vulnerability. You're different. You're not scared of me. And it makes me feel like human being? Amara cut in sharply. Junseo blinked. Yes. Amara leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. For a moment, she softened. Then stopped behaving like animal. Simple. She pushed the door shut before he could answer. Junseo stood in the hallway, trembling. He, the man who had silenced police chiefs and crushed rivals, had just been schooled by a maid. And the worst part? He wanted more. While Junseo wrestled with his obsession, another storm was quietly brewing. Across the city, in a dim apartment, a woman sat in front of a cracked mirror, tracing the scars on her belly. Her name was Hannah. She had once worked in Junseo's mansion, too. She had once laughed at his jokes, danced in his arms, and believed his lies. Until she became pregnant. Until he forced her into an abortion, ripped her baby away, and paid her off like trash. But Hannah hadn't forgotten. She hadn't forgiven. She whispered to her reflection, eyes blazing with hatred. You destroyed me, Junseo. Now it's my turn. You will know pain. And Amara, unknowingly, was about to be caught in the middle. The rain fell hard that night in Seoul, smearing the neon lights into bleeding rivers of color. Somewhere in a forgotten corner of the city, Hannah lit a cigarette with trembling hands. The scars on her belly ached every time she inhaled, a reminder of what she had lost. Her child, her pride, her life, all stolen by Junseo. She stubbed the cigarette, eyes dark and unblinking. On the table before her lay photographs of the mansion, schedules of the guards, and a single picture of Junseo smiling with his cruel smirk. But there was another photo too, a recent one. A woman, dark-skinned, radiant, with fierce eyes that seemed to pierce through the camera lens. She was carrying groceries into the mansion, a simple maid. Hannah frowned, dragging her nails over the photo. Who is she? She muttered. And why does she look so fearless? For Hannah, it didn't matter. Anyone close to Junseo was an enemy. Anyone near him would be useful. Her revenge was ready to begin. Meanwhile, inside the glittering mansion, Amara was busy with her chores. The marble floors sparkled, the curtains smelled of lavender, and the kitchen glowed with her touch. She carried herself with ease, humming African tunes as though she were in her grandmother's compound back home. The guards had grown fond of her. She reminds me of my mother, one whispered. She doesn't fear the boss. Can you imagine? Another chuckled. She even told me to eat more vegetables, a third added, laughing. They had never seen the mansion so alive. But Junseo wasn't laughing. He sat in his office, head in his hands, staring at the untouched lines of cocaine on his desk. Every time he lifted the straw, Amara's voice echoed in his head. Fine boy like you, wasting away like yam forgotten in the sun. He slammed his fist on the desk. Why can't I forget her? He had faced rival gangs, blood feuds, assassins. But none of them haunted him like one African maid with a sharp tongue. That evening, Junseo wandered into the kitchen again. Amara was frying plantains she had bought from a small African shop in the city. The sweet, golden scent filled the air. Smells different, he muttered, leaning on the counter. Amara didn't look up. It's food. Real food. Not those nonsense noodles you people eat every night. He smirked, trying to shake off his nerves. Teach me. Amara raised an eyebrow. Teach you? Mafia boss wants cooking lessons. Why not? He shrugged. I can learn. Amara studied him for a long moment. You can learn how to cook? But can you learn how to respect women? The words hit him like a bullet. He didn't answer. He just stared at her, suddenly stripped of his swagger. For the first time in his life, Junseo felt like a boy caught stealing sugar. Amara shook her head and flipped the plantains. You are handsome, yes. Rich, yes. But inside, you are empty. If you don't change, one day your sins will chase you down like mad dogs. And you won't escape. Junseo froze. He didn't know how, but deep inside, he knew she was right. 2 days later, Hannah made her move. A black van pulled up near the mansion. Headlights dimmed. Inside, Hannah handed an envelope to a man in a leather jacket. Plant it, she ordered. Make sure he finds it. Let it eat him from the inside. The man nodded and slipped into the shadows. By midnight, a sealed letter was tucked under Junseo's office door. When he opened it, he found photographs, old, cruel photographs. Women he had destroyed. Their tear-streaked faces, their broken bodies, their medical reports. And one photo in particular, Hannah, before the scars, cradling her pregnant belly. Beneath the photos was a note scrawled in red ink. Your sins are coming back for you. Watch your new maid closely. She will be your downfall. Junseo's blood ran cold. He tore the letter to pieces, but the words burned in his mind. Your new maid, your downfall. He began watching Amara differently. Every move she made, every word she spoke, every song she hummed. It all felt like a threat. At dinner, he snapped suddenly. Who sent you here? Amara dropped her spoon. What? Who sent you? Did they pay you? Are you spying on me? His voice thundered through the hall, his guards frozen in shock. Amara stood slowly, her eyes narrowing. Look at you, she said softly. Paranoid like rat in the dark. Nobody sent me, Junseo. I came here to work, to feed my family. But if your guilty conscience is disturbing you, that's not my problem. Go and fight your demons. She turned and walked away, her chin high. Junseo's hands trembled. For the first time, he wasn't sure if he was losing his empire to enemies, or to himself. Across the city, Hannah sat by her window, smiling as the rain washed against the glass. She knew the letter had reached him. She knew paranoia was already eating him alive. Break, Junseo, she whispered. Break until nothing is left. And Amara, unknowingly, was becoming both his shield and his weakness. The mansion was no longer quiet. Every corridor hummed with tension. Guards moved like shadows, checking windows twice, whispering in corners. Even the chandeliers seemed to sway with unease. And at the heart of it all was Junseo. He had stopped sleeping. His once perfect hair was messy, his eyes bloodshot. He walked through the halls like a restless ghost, sometimes barking at guards for no reason, sometimes staring blankly into the distance. The letter had poisoned him. Every time he saw Amara sweeping the stairs, laughing with the guards, or cooking in the kitchen, the words flashed in his mind. Your new maid, your downfall. That night, Junseo jolted awake, chest drenched in sweat. He had dreamed of Hannah, her swollen belly, her tearful face, her screams as he turned his back. But this time, the dream twisted. It wasn't Hannah crying. It was Amara. She stood in the rain, holding a child in her arms. Her eyes burned with betrayal. You destroyed me, she whispered, before disappearing into the storm. Junseo clutched his head. No, I didn't hurt her. But even he wasn't sure anymore. Morning came with golden sunlight spilling through the tall windows. Amara entered the office to dust the shelves, only to find Junseo slumped at his desk, head buried in his arms. Empty whiskey bottles lay scattered, his shirt half open. She hesitated, then touched his shoulder lightly. Boss! He startled awake, eyes wild, grabbing her wrist roughly. Who are you really? Amara gasped. Junseo. It's me, Amara. For a long moment, he searched her face like a starving man searching for truth. Slowly, his grip softened. His hand lingered, trembling against her skin. You don't understand, he whispered hoarsely. Everyone who comes close to me gets destroyed. Amara frowned. Destroyed? By who? He looked away. His jaw tightened. He couldn't tell her. Not yet. Instead, he stood abruptly, masking his fear with anger. Stay out of my business. Just clean. Amara pulled back, offended. Fine. But let me tell you something, Junseo. The more you run from your demons, the closer they will chase you. One day, they will catch you, and you'll have nobody left. Her words echoed like thunder as she stormed out. For the first time, Junseo wished she had stayed. Meanwhile, Hannah's network of spies grew. She paid off a disgruntled guard from the mansion, who whispered secrets into her ear over a glass of soju. The boss, he's changing. That African maid, she talks to him like no one else. Sometimes he even listens to her. We've never seen him like this. Hannah's lips curled. Perfect. Then she will be my weapon. She leaned closer, eyes glinting. Tell me everything about this Amara. The guard hesitated. She's different. Not afraid. She's strong. Strong. Hannah spat the word like venom. Then I'll make sure she breaks first. That evening, Amara was in the garden, humming while watering the roses. She had carried seeds from Africa, planting them secretly between the roses, cassava, maize, and beans. Tiny green shoots peeked out of the soil. Trying to turn my mansion into a farm? Junseo's voice came from behind. Amara smirked, not turning around. At least my farm gives life, unlike your business that gives only death. He didn't reply. Instead, he crouched beside her, staring at the tiny shoots. His rough, tattooed hands reached out, brushing the soil gently. For a man who had broken bones without blinking, the tenderness surprised even him. What are these? He asked quietly. Maize. Back home, it feeds families. Gives strength. Something in his chest twisted. Strength? He repeated. Amara finally turned to look at him. The dying sunlight softened his sharp features. For a moment, she didn't see the feared Mafia boss. She saw a broken man trying to remember what it felt like to be human. You should eat from it when it grows, she said softly. Maybe it will heal you. Their eyes locked. The silence was thick, heavy, charged with something neither of them could name. Then, as if remembering himself, Junseo stood abruptly. Don't waste your time. Nothing grows around me. But as he walked away, his heart betrayed him with a whisper he couldn't silence. Maybe she will. That night, a stone crashed through the mansion's window. Guards rushed out, weapons raised, but found nothing but a single piece of paper tied to the rock. Junseo read it, his hands shaking. You can protect your empire with guns, but you cannot protect your heart. She will destroy you, just like you destroyed me. His breath caught. He looked toward the servants' quarters where Amara slept peacefully, unaware of the storm circling her. Was Hannah right? Was Amara his downfall? Or was she his only chance at salvation? For the first time, Junseo didn't know. But Hannah, watching from the shadows, already knew. She smiled into the darkness. Soon, Junseo. Soon you will lose everything. And she will be the reason. The storm broke in Seoul. Rain lashed against the mansion's glass walls, lightning clawed across the night sky, and thunder rolled like war drums. Inside, Junseo sat alone in his office, drowning in whiskey. The warning note lay crumpled in his fist, its words seared into his skull. You cannot protect your heart. She will destroy you, just like you destroyed me. He slammed his glass against the table. The liquor spilled across the files, dripping onto the polished floor. Who are you protecting me from, Hannah? He muttered bitterly. Or are you already inside my walls? The next morning, Amara was sweeping the grand hall when a delivery arrived. A sleek black box wrapped in silk. The guards assumed it was another luxury gift for their boss. Boss, package for you, one announced, placing it on the table. Junseo eyed it suspiciously. I didn't order anything. Before he could stop her, Amara chuckled and picked it up. Maybe it's from one of your admirers. Should I open it? Don't, Junseo started, but it was too late. The lid slid open to reveal a blood-red rose. Beautiful, perfect, and dripping. Amara's smile faded as she noticed the liquid seeping from the petals. Not water, but thick, crimson blood. Beneath it lay a note. For every flower you crushed, I will bleed you slowly. She will be the first. Amara dropped the box, her hands trembling. What kind of sick joke is this? Junseo grabbed her wrist, pulling her close. His voice was low, urgent. Listen to me. From now on, you don't touch anything that comes into this house. Do you hear me? Nothing. Amara jerked her hand free. What's going on, Junseo? Who's doing this? He turned away, his jaw locked. He couldn't tell her. Not yet. Across the city, Hannah watched the scene unfold through a tiny camera hidden in the gift box. She leaned back in her chair, sipping wine, satisfaction glowing in her eyes. Scared, Junseo? She whispered to the screen. Good. Now feel what I felt. She placed a hand on her flat stomach, remembering what once was. You took my child. Now I'll take the only woman who makes your heart beat. Her phone buzzed. A text from her inside man at the mansion. He's unraveling. The maid doesn't know the truth yet. Hannah smirked. She will. And when she does, she'll hate him more than I do. That evening, Junseo found Amara in the kitchen chopping onions, humming an African tune that filled the cold mansion with warmth. For a moment, he just stood there, watching her. How could someone so ordinary shine brighter than all the women he had drowned in diamonds? Amara, he said softly. She looked up, surprised by the gentleness in his tone. I need to tell you something. He sat at the counter, fingers drumming restlessly. His throat tightened. I haven't been good. I've hurt people. Many people. Amara raised an eyebrow. That's not news. Everyone knows you're a mafia boss. No, he whispered. Not just business. Women. I. The words stuck in his throat like glass shards. Before he could continue, his phone buzzed violently. A guard's panicked voice shouted, Boss, we found a tracker in one of the cars. Someone's watching us. Junseo cursed, slamming the phone down. His chance was gone. Amara folded her arms, staring at him. One day, Junseo, those secrets you keep swallowing will choke you. He wanted to scream, to tell her everything, but fear wrapped its hand around his throat. If she knew the truth, would she ever look at him the same way? That night, the storm outside grew wilder. Guards patrolled every corner. Yet danger still found its way in. A loud explosion rocked the mansion gates. Smoke billowed as masked men stormed the compound, guns blazing. Amara dropped the laundry basket and froze as bullets cracked the air. Guards shouted, returning fire. Junseo grabbed her arm, pulling her down. Stay behind me. What's happening? She cried, heart pounding. It's Hannah, he hissed, eyes blazing. She's here. The mansion became a battlefield. Men fell, blood staining the marble floors. Amara crouched, clutching her chest, her entire body trembling. But when one of the masked men broke through the hallway and aimed at Junseo, something inside her snapped. She grabbed the nearest object, a heavy brass vase, and smashed it against the intruder's head. He crumpled to the ground. Junseo turned, stunned. Amara stood there panting, the vase still in her hand, eyes wild. I told you, she shouted over the chaos. I'm not weak like the others. For the first time, Junseo saw her not just as a maid, but as a warrior. The attackers eventually retreated, leaving bodies scattered across the compound. Smoke and blood tainted the night air. Junseo stood in the ruined hall, shirt torn, face bruised. Amara leaned against the wall, chest heaving, her towel half-burnt from a flying spark. He stepped toward her, his voice hoarse. You saved my life. She laughed bitterly. Don't get used to it. Next time, I might let them finish the job. Something in his chest cracked. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that, not after seeing his world painted in blood. Yet instead of anger, he felt something strange. Admiration, fear, desire, and somewhere deep inside, hope. But Hannah wasn't done. In the shadows, she was already planning her next move. The war had only just begun. The mansion was quiet after the storm of bullets. Too quiet. Windows were shattered, blood stained the marble floors, and the scent of smoke still lingered. Guards worked to clear the bodies, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. Junseo stood at his office window, staring out at the rain-drenched city. His reflection in the glass showed a man he no longer recognized. Bruised, exhausted, hollow. Behind him, Amara patched a guard's wound with firm hands, humming softly in her mother tongue. Even in the ruins of war, she carried peace like a crown, and that terrified him, because if she left, he feared he would collapse completely. That night, Amara walked into his office without knocking. "Talk." Junseo blinked. "About what?" "Stop pretending." Her voice was sharp, cutting through his defenses. "Who is Hannah? Why does she want you dead? Why is she sending me bloody roses? And don't you dare tell me to just clean, Junseo. I risked my life in your madness. I deserve the truth." His chest tightened. The whiskey bottle in his hand trembled. "You want the truth?" His voice cracked. "Fine. I ruined her. Hannah was once like you. Strong. Beautiful. Innocent. She worked for me. I touched her, used her. Threw her money like she was nothing. She got pregnant. I made sure it disappeared. I silenced her pain." He laughed bitterly, though his eyes glistened. "That's who I am, Amara. A monster who destroys everything he touches." Silence swallowed the room. Amara's face hardened. Her fists clenched. "You think confessing makes it better? That I'll pity you? You killed her child, Junseo. You killed her soul." Her words stabbed deeper than any bullet. He dropped to his knees, his pride shattering. "I know. And for the first time, I don't want to be that man anymore. Because of you. You're the only one who's ever made me want to live differently." Amara's eyes burned with unshed tears. She wanted to scream, to slap him, to run. But something in his brokenness chained her feet. Before she could speak, the mansion lights cut out. Darkness swallowed them whole. Gunfire erupted outside. Shouts. Explosions. The ground trembled as another wave of attackers stormed in. But this time, Hannah wasn't hiding. She walked through the broken gates like a queen of vengeance, dressed in black leather, eyes blazing with hate. "Junseo," her voice echoed. "Come out and face me." Junseo pulled Amara close. "Stay here." Amara shoved him back. "No. If you face her, you won't face her alone." They stepped into the grand hall together. Flames flickered from burning curtains. The once proud mansion now looked like the ruins of a kingdom. And at the center stood Hannah, a gun in her hand. Her gaze locked on Junseo, then shifted to Amara. She laughed bitterly. "So this is your new toy? Does she know what you did to me? To my baby?" Amara's chest heaved. "I know enough." "Then you know he deserves to die." Hannah spat, raising the gun. Junseo stepped forward, arms outstretched. His voice broke. "Then kill me, but leave her out of this. She's not like me. She's good. Pure." For the first time in his life, Junseo begged. Tears streaked his bruised face. "Please, Hannah, if you ever wanted me to feel pain, you've succeeded. I feel it every second I look at her, knowing I don't deserve her." Hannah's hand trembled. Her finger hovered over the trigger. Years of pain, betrayal, and rage pulsed through her veins. Amara's voice cut through the storm. "Hannah!" The woman flinched, eyes flicking to her. Amara stepped forward, her voice steady, carrying the weight of generations. "Killing him won't bring your baby back. It won't heal your heart. It will only chain you to his sins forever. Don't let him steal your soul twice." For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then Hannah screamed, firing the gun. The bullet cracked through the air. Amara gasped as Junseo staggered, clutching his side. Blood bloomed against his shirt, dark and heavy. He fell to his knees, eyes wide, staring at Amara. "No!" Amara rushed to him, catching his head in her lap. Tears streamed down her face. "Stay with me, Junseo. Don't you dare leave now." Hannah's gun slipped from her hand. Her chest heaved as she watched him bleed. But instead of satisfaction, a hollow ache consumed her. She dropped to the floor, sobbing. "Why doesn't it feel better? Why doesn't the pain go away?" Amara's cries echoed through the burning hall. "Because revenge never heals. It only burns everything." Junseo coughed, blood staining his lips. He grabbed Amara's trembling hand. "I don't deserve forgiveness, but thank you for showing me what love could feel like." His voice broke, fading. "Amara, you were my light." His eyes fluttered. His grip loosened. Amara screamed his name, shaking him desperately, but his chest stilled. The empire of Junseo, the untouchable king of Seoul, ended not with guns and glory, but with the broken whisper of a man who finally saw the value of a woman's heart. Months later, Imara stood in a quiet garden far from Seoul. She had returned home to Africa, carrying a small box of seeds in her hands, the ones she had planted in his mansion. She bent down, pressing them into the soil. For you, Junseo, may something good grow where your darkness once lived. The wind brushed her face gently, as though whispering his name. Behind her, the sun rose golden and warm, casting light on the earth. For the first time in a long time, Imara smiled, because even in tragedy, hope had found a way to bloom.
Hello besties, in this story we learn that when power, money and lust blind a man, he destroys not only others but also himself. But even the hardest heart can be softened by true love and respect. However, redemption sometimes comes too late and the pain of the past cannot always be erased. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.